Okay, so now that you understand how to work with vertex groups in edit mode and how to manipulate their values, what we're going to do is now take a look at how to work with vertex groups with weight paint. Now, before we do that, let's just understand what is the difference between working in edit mode and working in weight paint. Now, if we want to select a vertex group, we have to go to the Data tab and we can simply switch between any vertex group that we want. And of course, in edit mode, we are using this feature show weights, right? So this is not on by default. Only when we click it, we can start to see the colors over here. Now the second thing is, in order to change the values for these vertex groups on an individual vertex, we simply have to right click it and go into this panel and change the numbers over here. Now the other thing that you've seen is that when you want to change the value of multiple vertices for the same vertex group, we have to click on select to select all the vertices that are using this vertex group. Then of course we can come in over here under weight tools and use this or these buttons to manipulate the values on the vertices for this vertex group. Now the other part here is that if we want to select, let's say, the vertex group for the shoulder, we can come in over here and search for it. Or a quicker way is to simply just find a vertex that's close to this bound, then go over here and click on dev.shoulder.l and it will switch over here, and then we can start to see the vertices that are part of this vertex group, right? So this is how you are going to be working in edit mode. So if you notice that when you click on the armature, when we click on, let's say, this bone over here, and then go back to the figure and press the tab key to go into edit mode, we can't actually switch between the vertex groups in this way by simply clicking on the bone. And in edit mode, we can only click on the vertices. We can't actually click on this bone. Okay? So now let's go ahead and switch to weight paint mode over here. Now on the armature, first go ahead and switch this to object mode. Okay, now click on this figure. Notice that we are in weight paint. Now this is a special thing in Blender when you are working with armatures and when you are in weight paint mode. If you go to the armature and switch this to pose mode, where it gives you the ability to click on a bone, then when you click on the figure and switch to weight paint mode, you can actually click on the bone. When you do this, it will automatically select the vertex group. Okay, so if you want to quickly get to that vertex group, all you have to do is click on the bone. Now this is only possible when the armature is in pose mode. Now the other thing with weight paint is if we have this bone selected, you can press the R key to rotate, right? So you can position the bones anywhere that you want, and then you can start to manipulate the values of the vertex group. Now if we switch to edit mode over here, notice that we cannot select this bone, right? We would first have to go to object mode over here, click over here, press the R key to rotate, click on the figure, press the tab key to go into edit mode. But in weight paint mode, it's much more powerful. All you have to do is click it and press the R key to move this. Okay, so that's the first thing. So I'm going to just move this down over here. Now the other thing you'll notice is that when we switch to weight paint, by default we can't actually see the wireframe on the figure, meaning that we cannot see the vertices that we can click on that have to do with this vertex group. So to do this, you want to press the Z key to go into wireframe. So here you can just switch to wire, and now you can see where all the vertices are. Okay, now The difference here in weight paint mode when it comes to vertex groups, as you saw in edit mode, that you have to select the vertices. But in weight paint, when you click on a vertex group, the vertex group is actually active, meaning that over here, if you go to the tools under the brush, you'll notice that we have a bunch of brushes over here that we can use to change the value of the vertex groups for individual vertices. So go ahead and switch to add over here. Make sure that the strength is at 1 and the weight value is at 1. Okay. Now, when you have this vertex group selected, you can press the R key to move this over here, right? Now, if you zoom out, you can actually click on any of these vertices to automatically add this vertex to this vertex group. Okay, it has nothing to do with this bone. See, we can switch over here and switch back over here. Whatever's selected over here, it's what's going to get added. Clicking on the bone simply just allows you to select it very quickly. So if you click over here, right here, this vertex is now getting added to this vertex group. Okay, so go ahead and zoom in and now click on another vertex. Now notice that if you click in the center over here where there is no vertex, you're not going to be able to do anything. You have to actually click on the actual vertex. Now if we switch to edit mode over here and press the Z key to go back to solid view and click on this vertex group and click on select, you'll notice that those vertices have been added to this vertex group. Okay. Now in edit mode, if we wanted to do this, we would have to click on that vertex and click on assign. Click on this vertex and click on assign, right? But in weight paint mode, it's being done with a brush. Press the Z key to go back to wireframe. So over here, we'll actually switch this to around 5 and actually increase the radius over here for the brush and just go ahead and click. So you can see that we can very quickly add more and more vertices to this. So here you can see that as soon as we start to add more of these vertices to it, the vertices are moving as to where the bone is going, right? So we can use this concept with weight paint to fix the deforms. So go ahead now and reload this file, and now let's switch to weight paint mode and make sure that this is on the data tab and press the Z key. Now let's go ahead and just save this so we don't have to keep switching back. So now you understand this concept, right? Now notice that when we are in edit mode, press the Z key to go into solid view. When we click on this vertex, you'll notice that we have access to these buttons. But when we switch to weight paint mode, we don't have access to these buttons. Now press the Z key to go back into wireframe. Now if you want access to those buttons, basically treat weight paint like you are in edit mode where you want to work with individual vertices, then you can come in over here and click on this button. Now when you do that, just remember that because this is working like edit mode, you're not going to be able to select a bone. So if you right click over here on this bone, you cannot select it. But what you can do is simply click on these vertices. You can start to see the same information over here, right? So if we turn this off, notice that we cannot see the weight table. If you click over here, we can select on this vertex. Now, because this vertex is active, this gives us the ability to manipulate the values again by simply clicking over here and changing it, or we can click over here, click on add, and actually start clicking on this vertex. So over here, we're just going to make this a value of 1. So if you click over here, you'll notice that we're changing the value to 1. Go ahead and put this all the way to 0 and click it again. Right, so you have to click it a few times because this is right now using the concept of a brush. Okay, now if you click on any of these vertices over here, it's not going to do anything because they are not active. So if you press the C key to go to circle select and just do the middle mouse button to make it bigger, you can actually just select all the vertices that you want to work with. Now right click to get out of it. Now when we have this on, when we move our mouse on vertices that are not selected, it's not going to do anything, but the vertices that are selected will start to get modified. So we can just basically paint across and control or change the values of these vertices very quickly like this. Okay, now go ahead and just reload this file again. Okay, so that's how this concept works. Now when you have this on, of course you can still press the R key to rotate the bone, right? If you press the R key 2 times, you can rotate it anywhere that you want to understand how to deform these vertices correctly. So go ahead and turn this off. Now the button right next to it basically is a masking tool. So if you click this, you'll notice that if you press the A key, you can now paint on any of these vertices. And if you press the A key to deselect, you can't do anything. But now over here, we can't select the bones, right? If you right click, it'll actually start to select the faces. So this means that if we click on this face and now click our left mouse button, we're actually modifying these vertices. So you can press the C key to quickly select all these faces. Basically, it's a masking thing, and right click to get out of it. Now, if you click over here, it won't do anything, but over here, it will start to change these vertices over here, the values of them. So that's how these two buttons work. Go ahead and now reload this file. So what we're going to do is actually go through the process of understanding, first of all, how do you use these brushes? Now you'll see that they're actually very simple to understand because all they do is change the value for the vertex group. Okay, so to do this, what we're going to do is go ahead and just zoom in over here, do shift middle mouse button, and let's go ahead and first save this file. Okay, now we're going to actually turn this option on over here and click on just one vertex. We're only doing this so we can understand how these brushes work. Now notice that if you click on this brush over here, the strength is different from this one. Okay, so to stop this from happening, go to the options, and over here you'll see unified settings, size and weight are already checked. Go ahead and click on strength. So this now means that if you have the add clicked and change this to 1, now when you switch to another brush, it will stay intact, right, across all the brushes. So go ahead and switch to add. So now the question is, should you change this strength to 1 or keep it, like what value should you keep this as? Now as you already know, when it comes to vertex groups, you can only have a value of 0 and 1, right? So if you put the strength all the way to 1, basically it's just going to take this value and add it to this vertex, right? So if we click over here and push this all the way to 0, you have this on 1 and click it, you'll notice that over here is starting to go to 1, right? Now go ahead and push this all the way to 0. Now if you move the strength to, let's say, around 5, then of course it will be just half, right? See that it's just half. So it really depends on how do you want to treat this, right? You can just keep this on 1 over here for the strength and just change these values over here. So if we put this on 5 and do the same thing, we're basically getting the same numbers, right? Now when you are going through the rigging process, you'll find that you'll pretty much just keep this on 1 and just change the value over here. But in some cases you don't want to touch the weight value because you like that number. You're just going to come in here and actually half that value like this. Okay, so we're just going to keep this at 1 over here. So let's go ahead and push this down to around 208 is fine, around 200. It doesn't have to be a perfect number over here. Now when we have this selected over here, this vertex, go ahead and open this up and push this all the way to 0. So what the add brush does is basically each time you click on a vertex, right? It's just going to take this number close to it and add it. Now if you do it again, it'll go to 400, right? So you can keep clicking it until it goes to 1. So that's how add works. It's pretty straightforward. Now when you click on a blur, what this is going to do is basically look at the vertices that are surrounding this vertex and try to bring that number close to them. Basically, it's trying to soften it, right? So if you click over here a few times, you'll notice that it will basically be blend with the other vertices that are surrounding it. Now, the other thing that you should know is that if you actually delete this vertex group out of here and click on a blur, it'll do the same thing. It'll just keep adding it. And actually, all these brushes will add that vertex that you click on to this vertex group, even if it's not part of that. It doesn't matter which brush you click on. The behavior is always the same. So that's how blur works. That was pretty straightforward as to how that worked, right? Now we're going to take a look at darken. So darken and lighten are basically opposites of each other. Click on darken over here. So right now the value over here is 663. Okay, so we're going to bring this value to, let's say, 510. Now click it. When you click this, you'll notice that when we keep clicking it, it's going to bring this value to 5. Okay, now this is on 5, right? So if we go down a little bit more and if we click this, it will keep bringing that value down. Okay, but if we go above this number that's over here, such as 600, and when we click it, it's not going to do anything. So it only works when the starting value of your vertex, it needs to be below that number basically, and that it will start to bring it down. So its opposite is lighten. So this of course means that if this value is, let's say, 300, this is on 400, and when you click over here, nothing's going to happen. This has to be above this value that's showing over here. So if you change this to 563, it'll start to now change and go to that number. That's how that works, okay? So it's pretty easy to understand both of these. Now, we're not going to look at draw is because draw is the same duplicate as mix. I'm not exactly sure why this is here because it's not even in the documentation. It might be something that's left over. So anyways, just click on mix. Now mix is very easy to understand. Whatever number you choose over here and click your mouse over here a few times, it will go to that same number, right? So you can, doesn't matter what value this vertex is on, it will always go to that same number. That's how mix works, okay? Now multiply is actually very powerful. So the way this works is if you put this on 1, look at this value over here. You now click this, you'll notice that nothing is happening. Now when you bring this value down just a little bit like this, you can start to bring the value down for this number, right? So it brings it down very slowly. It just keeps going down. You know, if you go too low over here, then it's just going to multiply at a higher rate. It's going to go down much faster. Okay, so you can put it on 1 to see how this is working. Okay. So this is a very good thing to use. Now again, you can notice that it's just taking the value down. It's not taking the value up, right? You would have to use another brush over here. And of course, subtract is what it exactly means, that here you can subtract how much of a value you want to take away from this, and it's just going to start to subtract. Okay. So you can see that pretty much all the brushes, basically if you think about it, most of the brushes are basically doing the same thing, right? And the multiply is doing the same thing as subtract basically, right? And darken is doing the same thing as multiply and subtract, right? So that's how this concept works. So go ahead and now reload this file, and I'm going to see you in the next lesson. Thank you.